it's living into the impossible that gives us something to hope for on our darkest days. When I went through my big breakup,
Mhm.
it was mostly devastation and like 1% relief. And it was because my soul deep down knew I was meant for more. And that little inkling was enough to be like, I can get through this. I can turn this into something. I can grow this 1%. You can turn your breakup into the best thing that ever happened to you. And you're like, screw that. No way. I can't do that. I want you to know that even if there's 1% of your soul that's going, but
Yeah.
maybe I can, like, let's lean into that voice. Let's
Mhm.
strengthen that voice. Let's give comfort to the parts of you that are hurting. But there will come a day where you can look back on this moment and you can be so grateful for how you show up for yourself.
Before I actually start recording, how do I pronounce your last name?
Curnoles.
Curnoles.
Yep.
Curnoles. Okay.
And I'm
Awesome.
gonna clear my throat real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hmm. There we go. I should have done like some vocal warm-ups.
We're good. All right, here we go. Hello and welcome back to Rediscovering You, episode 76. I'm here today with a special guest, Sarah Curnoles. Sarah is a breakup coach who helps people turn their breakup into the best thing that ever happened to them. She's also the host of the podcast Breakup Pep Talk, where she offers practical advice for people who want to heal and grow after a breakup or a divorce. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy you're here.
Hi, Laura. I'm so happy to be here. Even though it's not the happiest of topics that I help people with, I'm always happy to be able to connect with people who need it.
Yeah, and I'm really appreciative that you've taken up a spot in this space because I think so many of us in our lifetimes either have experienced a breakup or are currently going through a breakup, and we feel like we're in the shadows, like we don't want to talk about it. It's almost like embarrassing and I love that you are just kind of putting a spotlight on this topic and helping people through a really dark point in their lives.
Yeah, because one of my patterns that I've had to come to terms with is when I struggle, I pull away from people. Like I
Mm.
really go into my shell and think I'm the only one with this problem. I have to figure this out on my own. And I did that for a long, long time when my relationships were ending and they weren't working out. And it was really when I reached out and I got support from, I mean, I hired all kinds of help. I had a coach, I had a women's group, and I had a therapist.
Wow.
But I saw massive change in myself and how I felt about myself in the world and in relationship and all of that. So it made a big difference when I finally said, I don't have to do this alone.
Right. And I love that because I think so many of us that experience a breakup, whenever this happens, we feel like we're all alone. Like we lost probably somebody who we thought was a significant part of our own identity. And it kind of shakes you up to your core. It's like, okay, now who can I lean on if my person is no longer my person?
Yes, absolutely. And it's actually why I do this work starting with people, right after a breakup is
Mm,
because I see it as like the biggest opportunity because you now get to decide what is your life without compromise. What is the
mm,
life that you truly want when when it feels like you've got a clean slate. I was using the analogy of like it's like a garden patch, right? Like you've been
yeah.
given this like blank garden patch and so many people come to me and they're comparing themselves to everyone else in their life of like, "Oh, they have a happy relationship and look at that couple over there and Instagram and all that stuff." But you can be given this like fresh garden patch and look at all the other patches around you and be like, "They have all these vegetables, whatever. I'll never have it." Or you can say, this is my patch. I get to decide what I want to plant. Do I want fruit trees? Do I want flowers? Do I want vegetables? Do I want a little bit of all of it? Like create your garden patch, and that's how I see this opportunity.
And I love how you reframe a breakup as an opportunity to step into what you actually want to call into your life. Because I imagine that some of the people that reach out to you are not looking at this as an opportunity. They're looking at it like a soul crushing event that they will not recover from.
Correct. And I'm so glad you said that because that's exactly where I was going to go next because it doesn't feel that way at first. And I don't say that it's an opportunity to like gaslight anybody and try to skip over the pain. I actually, every time I start with somebody, I start with how do we handle the emotions that are present? How do I help you reset your nervous system?
Mm.
Right? Because you're used to co-regulating with your person, right? Of syncing up, of like, this is how I stabilize myself, this is how I feel good. That's gone. So I teach each person new tools so that they can come home to themselves and get back to sleeping again,
Mhm.
start eating regularly again, like reducing anxiety, because all that biology, it's really normal for it to happen, but we just don't have the tools to handle it.
Yeah, it impacts everything. I mean, like just hearing the word breakup, like, oh, you broke up with your partner. Okay, don't worry, there's other fish in the sea. But it has such a profound impact on all aspects of your life, your self-worth. You mentioned like how you're sleeping at night, how you're showing up in the world. Like it can be truly a dark place and a really disorienting place for so many people. Like you're free falling because the ground has been pulled out from underneath you.
Yeah, I went through a really significant breakup a few years ago, which is how I got started on this path. But the
Mm,
first person I told, before I told family or friends, I told my boss.
really?
I had a day job at the time. It was very stressed, like a very stressful job. I had a lot of responsibility, and I was like, I'm not going to be on the top of my game for a little bit. Like, this is what's happening. And you just need to know because it has this big ripple effect. Yeah, that was the first person I told.
How self-aware are you? Seriously, to just be able to say from the forefront, like, yeah, this is going to have a huge impact on how I show up in the world and at my profession. Like, that's a lot because I don't think everybody really, I think people might underestimate the impact that it could have. But you are just like, no, I know that this is going to really, really shape how I'm showing up.
Yeah, so I can back up a little bit. So the way that I'd always handled breakups in the past was I would get really emotional.
Hmm.
I mean, we all do, right? But like I come from a theater background. I'm pretty in touch with my feelings. Like
Yeah.
when I say get emotional, I get emotional. I go drama. And it's because I just didn't have a better way to deal with it. But I would wallow, I would be unfocused, I'd be obsessing. He would be the only thing I would think about for a long time. So I knew that had been my pattern my adult life of I go through a breakup and this is how I show up. And I had more tools during this breakup that I'm referring to. And I also made a decision of I'm not going to do what I always did. I'm going to handle it differently, but I'm still a human being. I'm still going to have a lot of feelings. I'm still going to be unfocused. And I was a production manager for a theater company, a professional theater company. Like it's a lot of stress. You're hiring people, you're writing contracts, you're
Yeah.
running meetings. I wanted her to know if like I have to cry in the middle of a meeting, I'm gonna leave,
So I have a
all of that
question.
stuff.
Supportive of you when you shared? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she
good.
took me out for happy hour.
I
Yeah, she
love
was like,
that.
we're scheduling this in now. We're gonna go out after work. Like,
Yeah.
we're not gonna talk about work. We're just gonna talk about you. Like she was awesome.
Wonderful. Because
Yeah,
I imagine that not all bosses would have that approach. They'd be like, you leave your personal life at the door. When you're here, it's business. But like, we're humans, we're not robots. And so I love
right.
your boss was able to honor that and to hold you as a whole person. Yes, that was the best possible response you could have had.
Yeah. And people tell me all the time, like, why did you pick breakups? Like how that's got to be hard dealing with people's emotions. And I say, I used to work in theater professionally. Emotions are probably the easiest thing I deal with.
Yes, yes, yeah. And like I love that you found this calling, that this passion, you can use your expertise in working with big emotions to
Yeah.
help other people, that it doesn't scare you or anything like that. Like you just like
Correct.
bring it.
Yeah, so I try to be that safe place and tell people like you never have to apologize for emotion around me. I want you to bring it to me.
Mhm.
We're going to work through it together. I'm going to give you my frameworks that I use so that you never have to be afraid of your emotions again. You never have to avoid them or repress them or feel like you can't handle them.
Yeah, and to give people the tools to be able to handle, sit through, regulate their own emotions. Because I imagine with breakups, I know from my own past experiences, I did not want to feel those feelings. They were awful. And so you like mask or you distract or you whatever it is to avoid the pain of what you just went through. But that does not help you heal and move forward.
No, it just sort of creates like a blockage and it
Mhm.
gets you stuffed up and then it ends up coming out sideways and you end up crying in a big important meeting like I used to.
Yes, I know. I talk about this all the time. If you don't process your emotions as they're coming up, they do. They come out in the most inconvenient of times.
Right. Or the other habit that I had that I had to do a lot of work on, and I'm sure people relate to this, of like numbing, of
Um,
drinking alcohol or
mhm,
binging Netflix. Like that doesn't
mhm.
really help you feel better either.
Right. It's just a short-term fix to like
Yeah.
feel okay in the moment, but it absolutely does not solve your problems at
Yeah.
all. So I love the work that you're doing. I'm wondering, because most people when they're in a relationship, they're like, okay, if I break up, I'm gonna need a breakup coach. So, because you think that your relationship is just gonna work out. At least I know I did. How do people are when in your work, do you find like where are people in their breakup healing journey most likely when they reach out to you or when they find you?
Actually, it's usually a couple months after when they feel stuck. And that happens to some of us. Some of us don't know how to get out of the cycle where we're beating ourselves up of like, what did I do wrong? Is that my last chance for love? Am I too
Mhm.
old? I don't want to date, right? Like we make up these stories and they end up getting us really stuck. And so that's usually when people find me.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, like before I got into the coaching world that I'm in now, I didn't know that breakup coaches even existed. What a gift. What an amazing resource that people
Yeah.
have access to that are going through like arguably one of the most challenging experiences that we can have.
Yeah, because there aren't a ton of us actually. It's very few of us in this breakup coaching field, but I think usually when people seek out a coach, they know where they want to go with their life of like, I have this goal. I want to get in a relationship. I want to make more money. I want to start a business, right? And when people come to me after a breakup, the future's fuzzy. The future's like a black hole. And so I really get this opportunity to co-create with somebody of okay, it's a black hole. That's okay. Like, let's help you now, like, get you out of the unstuck. And then we can talk about what do you want your future to be? What excites you? The quote I use a lot is from Reverend Michael Beckwith, and he said, pain pushes
Yeah.
until vision pulls.
Mm-hmm.
And usually people find me when pain is pushing, right? And so I want to get them out of the pain, and then we can build a vision that pulls you forward, and it just feels so much easier.
So you are able to help people navigate this really dark black hole that they're in where they don't feel like they have a clear vision forward. What are some of the tools that you're able to use or strategies that you have that help pull people out of that space or help enlighten the path that is forward for them?
Yeah, so I really do love thought inquiry. I like Byron Katie's model where we look at what are the thoughts that are creating your suffering, right? Because there's pain, and I teach this a lot of like pain is naturally occurring. You're gonna have emotions that come up because of a breakup. So heartache, disappointment, loneliness, grief,
Mhm.
anger, those are kind of the big ones. And then you will have thoughts. You'll have thoughts about what's happening in your life. And those thoughts we have a lot more control over. And we can choose thoughts that don't create more suffering.
I love how you worded that. We choose thoughts. And that's like such a key cornerstone is that I think educating people that our thoughts are so very powerful that they actually create our reality both externally and internally. And when you learn the art of choosing your thoughts skillfully and intentionally, you can really help to change the path that you're on.
Yes. And most of the time people are going to say, "But I can't control my thoughts." I'm like,
Mm.
I don't want you to control your thoughts. We're never going to like stop all of our negative thoughts. I want you to have the power to see a thought and say, "I don't pick that one. I am going to put my focus somewhere else." Like I'm going to teach you the art of redirection.
Yeah. Right. Because the amount of time and energy you spend on any given thought, that's like you're using your garden analogy, you're watering it, you're giving it like
Yes.
seeds to grow.
Yes.
Choose a different one. You can see, okay, I have that negative thought, but let me look at this more positive one and change the direction.
Yeah. Yes. And like, I like this garden analogy. How do I spend more time with this thought? How do I cultivate it more and nurture it and like make it to grow and use it to build how I see myself?
Because I imagine you're helping people like really rediscover their identity because like they're now like this single entity without a partner and like, okay, who am I now? What do I want for this next phase of my life? How do you begin to help people decide or remember? I guess that's the word I want to say, remember who they really are.
Yeah, I think one of my gifts that I've known for a really long time is I can see people's greatness in them before they can see it. And one of my gifts as a coach is I speak to that greatest part of you. And like that is the part I'm engaging with on the calls. And so I feel like some of my work is very secret. People usually don't know what I am doing for a little while. Like we're doing the work, like we're getting stuff done on a coaching call. And their confidence is building because of the way I'm engaging with them,
Mm.
because of the way I'm challenging them and I'm holding them to these expectations. And then we start moving towards how do we build this version of you and this vision of what you want for your life? Because honestly, I feel this kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, but we have such wonderful gifts inside of each of us. And a breakup has an opportunity to bring that out or to get you off path and get you away from it. It can distract you. So let's get you back on the path so that you can bring your gifts out into the world, so that you can use them and share them widely. Whether your gifts are nurturing your next relationship or a family or whatever, your community, volunteering, whatever that might be, or maybe it's in the work world, whatever it is, I'm going to get you back to your personal mission as fast as possible.
And I think that's important. Like the word there you chose is personal, is that we need to understand like who we are at our core, what's important to us, what brings us joy, what lights us up outside of my peace in a relationship. Does that help your clients attract partners that are more aligned with who they are or they're more
100%.
vibrant?
Yeah, it becomes more intentional dating,
Mm.
and dating can actually be fun when you're doing it that way. It becomes much more about discernment, and the no's are so much clearer because you're not settling. You're not compromising in those ways where you're compromising yourself, right? Like we're always going to have compromises in relationship, but you don't want to lose yourself in a relationship. You want one that brings out your best. And when you know what that is, because you've been working with a coach, you know what your best is, you're not willing to give it up.
So true. Like when you work with a coach, you really do start to, and I love how you put it, like you see the greatness in everybody before they can see it. Like when somebody's just interacting with you to your greatest self, and that's kind of what you expect from other people. You expect for them to treat you as your greatest self and honor you and respect you and interact with you in that way. And so I agree with you that it probably does make it a lot easier to pick out a no. Like when
Yeah.
there's a hard no, like, ooh, that doesn't feel good, and I'm not willing to go down that path.
Yes. It's like, do you remember that movie with Michelle Pfeiffer from the These Dangerous Minds, where
Oh,
she was the
yes.
teacher
Yes, I
in the
do.
inner city school? And
Mhm.
like the way that she taught the kids, it was like, I think it was Dangerous Minds, you all have an A. And the way that you show up, you either keep the A, you have to earn keeping it, or you'll
Yeah.
like lower your grade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of the
Analogy.
same thing. Yeah.
That's, that's awesome. I really love that.
Yeah.
So, in your work with a typical client, how long do you spend working with them through the breakup process? Does your work with them end once they feel that they've, quote, gotten over the breakup, or does it continue into like the next phase of their like maybe looking for a relationship? What does it look like?
Yeah, I work with people for 6 months because
Okay.
what I can do is I can get pretty quick results. No matter where you're at in your breakup, I can get pretty quick results in like 2 to 3 months where you feel solidly over the
Mm.
person. And then we really have the luxury of what's next and how do I want to keep showing up for what's next.
Hmm.
So we get to really anchor in who is this new version of you in this new chapter because that's what That's what nobody wants to go back to forgetting who they were,
Right.
compromising on themselves, right? We want to anchor in, this is my greatest version.
Mhm.
This is how I show up. And for some people, that looks like I help them get back into dating. And some people are like, I want a new adventure in my life. How do I go out to dinner by myself? How do I do my first solo trip by myself? So it can vary, but yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And I think 6 months is a good amount of time too, because it gives you time to do like the intense work that is healing from the breakup to getting back to a sense of self to then like sliding into co-creating the authentic, idealized version of who you really want to be. I love that. What's it been like for you since you've stepped into this role as being a breakup coach? Like, how has that changed your perspectives, or what have you learned, or how has that shaped your own journey?
I love that question. But I really do have more fun dating than I've ever had before. I mean, there's that. So I left my production manager job a year
Mhm.
ago. Like I was able to build my business big enough that I could leave my full-time job and I do this full-time now, which feels amazing because I really feel in alignment with my
Yeah.
work now. And then how do I say this? Like I really get to walk my talk.
Yeah.
And I bet really big on myself this past year. I took this opportunity to go to England for the month of August, and then I ended up staying for 3 months. So I had this opportunity to travel and work, which when I look back to the breakup I had, one of the things I was learning from that breakup was how small I was playing in my life in
Hmm.
that relationship. To keep the relationship, I played really small. So I gave up my dream of my business. I had
Hmm.
really stopped coaching a lot in that relationship because he was risk averse and
Yep.
too nervous about me building a business. So I pulled back and he and I didn't travel a lot. He
Mhm.
just didn't like it. And I always wanted a life where I was my own boss
Mhm.
and I could travel the world and stay for long periods of time. And it's happening now. It's just really lovely. And it's the gift of, having my own business so I can take it with me.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And you just like seeing you respond to that question, you just seemed like so happy. Like
I
so
am.
like you're living your purpose, like you've decided that this is what you want to do with your life and you've like manifested it into reality. And in doing this, you're also helping so many people. Like I love that you have built a business that lights you up and in doing so you are helping other humans. So
Thank you for reflecting that to me too, because that's what I look for in my clients. I want them to light up, and I'm finding those moments. So being able to do that for myself is also important.
oh, totally.
Yeah.
And like, I find that the most effective coaches are those that have either already walked the walk personally themselves or are even currently going through it themselves. They just have such the wisdom of experience that only experience can bring is amazing.
Yeah. Yes. So I will say this, I haven't said this before, but you're giving me lovely space for this. I am planning my first ever retreat. So it won't be for a little while, but like I want to do a retreat in Mexico where it'll be sort of a reclaiming yourself kind of retreat and healing and trying new adventures. But it's because that's where I started to come home to myself was travel.
Yeah. Yeah, like-minded people here, totally. Same way. I hosted my first retreat a few weeks ago. It's such an amazing
Wow.
opportunity. Yes, and it's so funny that you bring up Mexico because I've been having my eye on this one facility in Mexico that has just been like coming across things that I'm reading over and over and over. I'm like, okay, I think I need to go there and do one there.
Okay, we'll have to swap details.
We'll chat outside of this. So yeah,
Good.
more to come. More to come. Yeah, it's such an amazing opportunity. But yeah, once you like you just verbalize that out into the universe and now you're calling that in and just like everything else you've done, it is going to happen and it's going to be amazing. And yeah, I agree with you. Travel is such an amazing way to heal and grow and see different parts of yourself that you have more difficulty seeing when you stay in your own box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if people are listening, and I'm confident that whether you're listening a month from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, whenever you find this, if you're going through a breakup right now or know somebody who's going through a really rough breakup, how can they get in touch with you
Y-
personally?
Absolutely. So I made a little gift for your listeners.
Oh.
So it's an audio recording. I think it's about 11 minutes long that is just me giving some comfort and some guidance of how to get through this difficult part and to let go of the tension that you might be holding and how to steer into possibility of what could be possible for you going forward.
Thank you
And
so
so,
much. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
so they can get that at forgetyourexnow.com. And I
And
will give you the link, obviously.
I will absolutely include that in the show notes for sure. I'm also wondering if your podcast might be a really awesome space for somebody going through a breakup to get advice or insights. Can you talk a little bit about your podcast here?
Yeah, so I host a podcast called Breakup Pep Talks, and I keep them very short episodes because I want people to get something that they can either have a quick shift in how they're thinking or how they're feeling or something actionable that they can do right away. And the wonderful thing about podcasts is they're always available.
It's so great. So you
Yeah.
can binge a ton of short episodes and get lots and lots of really practical tools to help through a difficult point in your life.
Yes.
What a fun thing. Is it,
Yes.
have you had a fun time with your whole podcasting journey as well? What has that been like for you?
Yeah, it's been really fun. I it's been really fun to find my creative voice. So my background in theater, I was the support. I was the backstage person. I used to say like, if you know that I'm there, I'm doing a bad job. Right?
Mm-hmm.
My fingerprint should not be anywhere on this. And having a place where I get to think through what can have the most impact, what do I have to share, what can I give,
Hmm.
has been a little challenging, but really rewarding. And it's helping me also to grow as a person.
And totally, because we all are always growing and expanding, or at least I hope we all are. I know I strive to do that. So I just think that the topics that you cover, the work that you're doing, it's universal. And so it's helpful. And I love that you've just created a space to be able to have these difficult conversations that are really positioned in a place to help people in a dark point of their lives. Bravo to
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
And I love that you're continuing to stretch and expand yourself and use your creative voice because you have such wisdom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be difficult and it's obviously it's going to be very uncomfortable to go through this stuff, but
Mhm.
nobody has to go through it alone. And coming full circle, I always said it can feel really lonely, but you know, I have people finding that podcast every single week.
Mm,
So you're definitely not alone. There are people that are going through it. Even when you think that I'm the only one, I guarantee you, you're not. You're
right.
definitely not alone.
Yeah. Thank you for that message because I know it feels like you are literally the only person on the planet that feels what you're going through when a messy breakup happens. So, yeah, that's why, again, I just think it's such a wonderful topic that you're putting out there and just being so open and transparent with talking about it.
Yeah, one of my best friends, we became best friends. I was stage managing a production of Much Ado About Nothing, and she
Mhm.
was an actor in it. And her character gets dumped at the altar. And I was the stage manager. I saw every rehearsal, I saw every performance. So you just see rhythms, you know what everything's going to be. And this was, oh my gosh, this was 12 years ago, 10
Mhm.
years ago, something like that. So this is going back before I was a coach. And I saw her performance that night and it was bigger. Her reaction of being left at the altar was bigger than normal. And I approached her afterwards and said, I just noticed. And so
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, is everything okay? She shared she was going through a breakup. So I've been holding people through this for a long time. And yeah, nobody has to go through it alone.
Oh, you've definitely found a space to use your talents and your gifts. And yeah, and people clearly feel comfortable sharing with you.
Yeah.
And that's a very special quality to have.
Thank you.
Final question for you. Do you have any last messages or any thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience? Anything at all?
Yeah. I know when I tell people your breakup can be the best thing that ever happened to you, that often feels too far away when you
Hmm.
first hear it, right? Like it it feels impossible. And I think it's living into the impossible that gives us something to hope for on our darkest days. When I went through my big breakup, it was mostly devastation and like 1% relief. And I was
Mhm.
like, what is that? Like, why am I having a little bit of relief? What is that about? And it was because my soul deep down knew I was meant for more. And that little inkling was enough to be like, I can get through this. I can turn this into something. I can grow this 1%. So if people hear at the beginning, you can turn your breakup into the best thing that ever happened to you, and you're like, screw that, no way, like I can't do that. I want you to know that even if there's 1% of your soul that's going, but
Yeah.
maybe I can, like, let's lean into that voice. Let's
Mhm.
strengthen that voice. Let's give comfort to the parts of you that are hurting. But there will come a day where you can look back on this moment and you can be so grateful for how you show up for yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for that final message. And Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your time on this podcast with us today. It's been such a joy meeting you and having this conversation with you.
Thank you, Laura.